This is Mac McElhenney, and this is Grinding Through History, a podcast about the skate scenes and their influence and just anything about them that's historically memorable. And I'm here with two different people. We got Date Crew and long-term friend. He's been influenced by the topics we're going to be talking about today very heavily, just as I have been.
Yep. What's up, what's up?
Over here we got Rich Finland, business partner, owner of Skate Paw. And he's just another guy that's really influenced by the whole Westchester scene. And as for myself, I'm a skateboarder. I'm the owner and founder of Muck Video Skate Crew. And yeah, I have a lot to say about it, and I'm sure that everyone else here does. We're going to have someone speaking about it today, and we're going to have someone else that I interviewed a day ago. So let's get into it. So the Westchester skate scene, like, that shit's been something that's kind of crazy how historically, like, or how rich the history is in Westchester. I mean, like, it started back in, like, the 70s with people that were, I mean, we probably wouldn't know them today, but they definitely, like, set the ground floor for this. And
same type as those Dogtown era dudes.
Yeah, and I mean, and Dave Fairman, a huge skateboarder, and now he's a city official for something. I can't really say exactly what it is because I don't really remember, but I know he works somewhere in the city council now for Westchester. But he started Fairman Skate Shop and back in 77, 76, something like that. It's been going for like 45 years now. And he was a huge person that pushed the whole skate scene. Yeah, I mean, then the 80s were pretty much the same thing, but I think it really hit its peak in the 90s and early 2000s. Is really when the general population would have known what it was and, like, how big it really was. So let's kind of get into that and figure out why it's so popular and who made it popular. So I'll pass it over to Rich for a minute. How has, like, the Westchester skate scene influenced you? I mean, like, you're a skateboarder, right? How long you been skating?
Since I was 13 actually, like 17 years.
Yeah. And how old are you now, if you don't mind me asking?
Fucking 21.
All right, yeah,
fucking
definitely. 30, yeah. So
I'm about
I
to
mean,
say no fucking way you're 21.
You're the age where, like, you were, like, a little younger than me when this shit was popping back in the early 2000s. Like,
I was literally like 12, 13, 14.
Yeah. So you're one of the main generations that really lived through the whole thing. And I mean, we both lived through it too, but it was still, like, a lot bigger back then. So how did it influence you? How did the Westchester skate scene just as a whole influence you?
Brandon DiCamilio, Bam Margera, fucking, Brandon Novak coming up from Baltimore. Like, back then all I knew was Bam, okay? I was a small black kid that lived in Landover, like, this is the hood,
Yeah.
and no one fucking skates, and slowly by surely you run into one person, and but everybody's favorite skater was like Kareem Campbell or like some dude, and I just watch, I don't know what I saw, but I used to watch freaking videos, like, it was all Bam. It was like, yeah, man, you put some bacon on that shit, you can fry some oil, and then fucking Phil Lip and Bam, and then he's like, skate for the pro cam. Then Turbo Negro just start playing and that shit was like in 240p.
Yeah.
It was like the shit. It was like the coolest shit in the world.
Yeah, back then.
This is what it was. Those guys had fun. They live in old towns that wasn't that huge. Philly was the spot to go to.
Yeah.
And, like, they pretty much, it wasn't like this big LA or like fucking Santa Monica. It wasn't down there in like Tampa and like Tampa Bay and stuff.
Yeah.
It was just small little town with nuclear power plants too close up the street, and they were they were just regular folks skating. I mean, half of them were probably poor. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And it was just cool as shit, like regular old and they, I mean, you've seen bands, you've seen the Family on episode where they all came over and the old ass couch that she got, you throw that thing out.
Yeah, I'm gonna pause you right there so we can introduce what he's talking about there. So right there, he's talking about Bam Margera, who's probably one of the most well-known people from the area. I mean, if not the most well-known from the area, but I think most people just think of him as someone that was on MTV. He had a show called Viva La Bam. He was on Jackass, the TV show, and the movies. And no one really focuses on him being a skater. And during Viva La Bam, that's what Rich is kind of talking about right now, is just that, like, they did so much crazy shit, like, they were skateboarders, but they were skateboarders who weren't afraid to show their personality, who let other people know, like, it's all right to be like this. And I mean, I hate to cut you off, Rich, but I'm going to pass it over to Timmy to see what he's got to say about that, because I know that he may not. So Timmy is not a skateboarder, but he's been around it almost just as long as I have, and he's been influenced in his own way. So tell everyone how, the Bam Margera era, if you want to call it that, and everything else. I mean, not even just Bam. Like, they have so many other people in there, and one of the interviews we're going to be talking about later, we're going to be talking about how, like, there's so many skaters there that don't get recognition. But just talk to them about how, like,
so, like
the 90s Westchester influenced.
Yeah, so like you said, I'm not a skateboarder. I don't know, all this stuff about skateboarding. But obviously Bam was one of my big influencers. Even growing up before I met you, and before I even like really knew anything about skating, I would always watch his clips on like YouTube and stuff, and always think that was like the coolest fucking thing. I actually did skateboard for a couple of years with some of the kids in my neighborhood. It was a small group of like 4 or 5 of us, and they were all like 5, 6, 7 years older than me. So they gave me my first skateboard. They would teach me tricks and shit, and just throughout the years, just growing up and life and shit, I just didn't really keep up with it, which I had. But yeah, about Bam, that's kind of when you and I first met. I think that was like after you and I hated each other for a while.
Yeah, we hated each other for a little bit, but we've known each other since we were probably about 10, 11 years old.
Yeah,
so.
And once we finally started to hang out and talk and shit and become friends, that's kind of how it was actually. We both realized that like we were big fans of Bam and like Jackass, and we both enjoyed skating, so that's kind of.
And I was running around, saying, "Oh, I'm gonna move up to Westchester. I'm gonna meet Bam."
He was saying that when he was little, and
I was saying that since I was like.
We were all like, "There's no fucking way, dude. That's not gonna happen."
Not gonna
like,
happen, but
if like, there's no way. And here we are today. It fucking happened.
We'll edit this in too. But if you look at this picture that we have, I actually, a few weeks into being up at Westchester. I started just talking the same way I've been talking, just telling everyone this is my dreams, this is what I'm trying to get done, this video, and kind of have my skateboarding kind of kick off from there. And little did I know that Bam Margera was going to come try to meet me. And now, I'm so thankful for what they've done for me, him and his family. I mean, they've all been the nicest people. And, shout out to the Margeras. They definitely weren't how you would normally think a celebrity of that caliber would act, but they're just stand-up people. So that's kind of our influences is him and his skateboarding. I mean, that's the biggest thing about our projects that we do in our life is that the skateboarding he did was so influential and so groundbreaking that it's just ridiculous. And I mean, Rich can quickly say something before we get to our first interview here, but why'd you start skating? I mean, I'm pretty sure I know the answer, but why'd you start skating?
Actually, my reason for starting skating was a little retarded. My mom told me no growing up. One day I was getting taken to school in Laurel, which I'm not from, and I needed a sweater or coat, so she got me 2 hoodies from Modell's. I have to get my tube for it. I saw a little USA skateboard for $5. We just wanted shit. So I said, please, can I have it? She said, yeah. I had size big ass feet, like 11, 12 years old. I was little. I'm a little guy.
Yeah.
Skating on this little board. I just stuck to it. I don't know what it was. I was always different than the other kids, listening to rock music and skating. And from where because I'm a black dude, right? And back then, it wasn't huge until later.
Yeah.
So one day I moved, and I think from watching Jackass and other videos on the internet, this is like 2003, 4.
Yeah.
I'm like 13, 14. I don't even remember how I came across Bam, but ever since the first day, like you see Mac with his fucking cut gloves.
Yep.
I didn't have the scarf and the chains, but I had the freaking rings and shit, and like the blazer, and like it was a lot of skaters, but I never spent $60 on a video game until Thug 2 came out.
Yeah.
And that's when
Tony Hawk Underground 2, yeah.
That's when I skated that shit. I was so happy.
And Bam Margera was a huge character in that, and so, yeah, he definitely, he made his way into pretty much every aspect of life. I mean, he had movies, he had skate videos, he had skate sponsorships, and he had video games that he was in, He
was in my dreams.
Yeah, so, all right, so I'm gonna bring in our first interview. This guy goes to Westchester University. He's a sophomore. His name's Alex, and he actually just started a skate club. So let's hear what he's got to say about that. Thanks for coming on, man.
Yo, what's going on?
Yeah. So why don't you introduce yourself a little bit? Talk about like how you're a skater and why it came to be like that. So.
Sure. So my name is Alex Hoagland. I've been skating for about 8 years now. It all started. It started back in middle school when I was like 13. My first skateboard was actually I got a longboard. My one of my best friends, Landon, he I don't know, he got like a longboard for Christmas, and he was always kind of like the leader of our group. He was like the idea man.
Yeah.
And so he got a longboard for Christmas one year, and after that, I don't know, I just got into it from him, because he had such a passion for it.
I mean, that's how most of us get into it. I mean, there's a lot of us, what really pushes us to go further into it is the professional skateboarders we grow up watching and loving. But I mean, it all kind of starts with something before that. I mean, I mean, I'm talking about this later in a different interview that I did before, but I got in because the BAM stuff, that was awesome. But I mean, I didn't know how to go about getting a skateboard. But the guy across my street, he gave me all these broken boards when I was real little, like 5, 6 years old.
Perfect.
And then just give me these snapped boards. I'd be running around the house with them, and then finally gave me a real a deck that was full, complete, or whatever. And he put trucks on it, put everything else on it, and he was teaching me how to skate out in the street. So I mean, it kind of just starts from that. So
yeah.
So you said that you're from Bucks County, right?
Yeah, I'm from Bucks County. It's just like an hour away from here.
Okay.
But yeah, no. Actually, so what really got me into skateboarding was I got to meet the Baker team. Baker came to Rain Skate.
Yeah.
Which is sadly no longer a thing.
Mm-hmm.
Our local skate shop was Rain Skate. And they came for just a signing.
Yeah. And
I got to meet all of them, and I grew up watching Baker.
Yeah.
And so that's what really.
That's where we're kind of all of us. I mean, the Baker Boys distribution company. I mean, that includes Baker Skateboards and Death Wish and Shake Junt, all those companies.
Oh my God, yeah.
Yeah, and that's that's where we kind of want to end up getting sponsors from is the Baker Boys, because I mean, we always they did similar things to what BAM did a long time ago. Their skate videos are more than just skate videos. It was them.
No, yeah, it's
throwing down antics
it's personality. It's personality,
and that's what BAM Margera did, and all his friends, and then he brought in high level skateboarders. I mean, just to name a few: Kerry Getz, Mike Maldonado. So many skaters that were just way more than a skater. They were crazy dudes that were just not afraid to just put their shit out there and be the people that they are. And I mean, you talk about the Baker team coming to your local skate shop. Westchester has Fairman Skate Shop. I mean, it's the longest standing East Coast shop, and it's been up for 45, 46 years now. And they've had pretty much any skate team you can imagine, any legendary group of guys come through to do signings, to just hang out at the shop, to all this other stuff. And that's one thing that is really amazing to me, that Westchester, a place like Westchester, has so many people wanting to come to it that are professional skateboarders. It's ridiculous. And it's not even, honestly, I mean, I don't know how much you know about this. I know people in this room probably do. It's more than just skateboarding in Westchester. It's the music, it's everything. They all kind of collide, and it's just really amazing to see. There's a band called CKY, which is which is Bam Margera's brother's band, and they blew up because Bam would use all of their songs in the first video, the CKY one video that he made. That was his skate video, but all his other crazy shit in it. They blew up at the same time. It became this household name for years. I mean, if you ask people now, they might not know it, but if you ask anyone in the area who CKY is, they're gonna know. So it's ridiculous. It's insane. But who are some of your bigger influences that you can name off, skateboarding wise?
See, I was I grew up watching older stuff. So my all-time favorite skateboarder is Lance Mountain.
Yeah.
If you know, yeah.
Yeah.
I just loved how he was never the best skateboarder, but he was just like such a like a likable guy. Just he's just the funny guy who was like he was okay at skateboarding, but that was okay.
Yeah.
And like that's probably my favorite thing about skateboarding is just how like welcoming the community is, and just it means so much more than just skating. Like there's so much just there's just so much to skateboarding that.
Dude. I mean, I completely like. Yeah, that's the perfect way to put it, honestly. And Westchester's probably one of the biggest places where that's it. I mean, a lot of people in town, you just walk out and they're bonding over skating. Like you see so many people skating through town. And
that was like one of the biggest things that surprised me. Like I came here and just like people all over the place are skating, which is awesome because like back in Bucks County, me and my friends are literally the only ones who do. It's just a group of 5 of us that skateboard, and that's it.
Yeah.
There's just a handful of there's like guys at the park, but from like my school.
Yeah. But we were talking before we got on this call, or before we got on this interview. I mean, you and I were talking about how there's other people that aren't really part of the like they weren't from Westchester, but they definitely like Tom Asta. He's from around your area, right? And he comes to Wawa Park down in Westchester, and he's always there. He's a huge influence. He's really big now. He's got S sponsorships, Santa Cruz sponsorships, and he's been kind of killing it for a long time. And same with some of the newer guys as well, like Chris Cole. He's from like the Philly area, and Philly's like we're gonna go more into it the next episode, but Philly is kind of the reason why Westchester is so influenced by all this, because they were so close to this huge hub that they became their own. They had these guys that would just go down to Philly and skate, and they just kill it. But yeah, man, like I mean, if anyone else wants to take over, like what other things can you think of that can really like contribute to how unique this skate
like basically like he was saying just a little bit ago, when you think of skateboarding, some people just think of literally just skateboarding.
Yeah.
But like you said, it's so much more than that. It's not just skateboarding. It's a community of people that can like come together, people that listen to the same music. Like it's music, it's just friendship, it's like all of the above. It's a community of people that all enjoy the same thing.
Mm-hmm. Something that I tell people when I be trying to get them into skating. Whenever you seen like 2 dudes just beefing on a skateboard, like someone comes, he's a kick-ass skater, he's better than the other guy. He gives them his props. They love each other. Yeah. There's no sense of duality and battling and like hating.
It's all about helping each other grow.
It's all love. You can't tell me one other thing that's even rock stars. Look at Metallica. Fuck you, Dave Mustaine. Fuck you.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Yeah. So like I can't think of anything else where it's just all love. You know, like I got dumped, right? Like worst breakup, seriously, worst shit I went through last year. Lost my car, cats, apartment, girl.
Yeah.
There was one time where I didn't think about what was going on. Skate park.
Yeah.
Got in the car, sweating, smiling, like life's great.
Yeah.
Nothing's better. It's freaking awesome, you know.
Yeah, man. And so I mean, I can kind of assume. So the whole point of this is I'm trying to inform everyone about how rich different skate scenes are and how they really did influence people without them even knowing. I mean, honestly, most of the kids now that are our age, and going to like, especially people going in school, they have no idea what went on in the town before they were even close to being in school.
Goddamn clue.
Yeah, and so I can kind of tell that you definitely like knew about it, but like, yeah.
Yeah, no, I mean, I knew there was something.
Yeah.
Especially like most of my knowledge comes from literally Fairman's, just like that wall of history that they have, but.
And they're huge teachers. Like they teach people about it too. Like if you walk in there and you ask a few questions, like they'll go on a whole like little lesson about like, oh yeah, these guys came back in 1995 or whatever, So they really have been the bookkeepers of the history of Westchester, and it's insane, dude. It's crazy.
Yeah.
I mean, I don't really know what else to say about it, but it's just so cool to have that be at the town that we go to college in. Like, that's just always going to be, like, one of my best moments is that I have lived in Westchester and that I go to college in a town where stars are like always passing through whether you know it or not. And I mean, yeah, most people are like, okay, they're a pro skateboarder, big deal. I mean, but for us, that's everything. Like, yeah.
Okay, something I want to chime in. My idea of a vacation is hitting NC, fucking Pennsylvania. I'm always talking. You have no clue how much I'm talking about Pennsylvania.
Yeah.
Pennsylvania, Philly. I've been hitting Ocean City. That East Coast all day.
Yeah, Pennsylvania. Like that's another thing that like not even just Westchester, but Pennsylvania has so many people that come out of it that you would never know.
Yeah,
like,
I mean, shit. Don't never, like you say. Don't get started on Pittsburgh and Philly.
Yeah,
but the notion of that's our own, literally our own Hollywood. Like, you guys want to go to California and have fun for a couple months, or would you ever have schoolwork and sit in Westchester?
Yeah, I'd rather be being in Westchester.
Exactly.
I mean, like you have like a really good chance of running into one of your. I mean, like once again, bring it back to just us as skateboarders or skateboard fans. Like, that means more to us than going out and meeting some actor. It's like because they're real people that just made it on a fucking board with wheels on it.
Well, hold on now. I don't know because Jeremy Piven was amazing at Entourage. Right? You remember this? Yeah.
But yeah, no. So, I mean, I think we're kind of like getting to that point. We're just talking about how many stars there are, but let's just kind of wrap this up and bring it back to the fact that, like, Westchester skateboarding has influenced all of us no matter what. Like
in some way or another.
Yeah. And
I always known, for me, I'm not good at trick and stuff, but I've been skating vert recently. I don't know if you know ramps.
Yeah.
And I'm actually good. We didn't have that growing up where I lived.
Yeah.
I stopped skating for like 5-6 years, came back in a few years ago, like when I met you. But I'm kicking butt doing the vert ramps and stuff. And I've always wanted to do that from seeing those dudes do that.
Yeah.
Like, I knew it was my blood. I knew before I got that Floyd Rose over there that when I got it, back when I had just a BC Rich, a regular bridge, I knew that I was destined to like play like, like that.
Yeah.
And the same thing with the boarding. I knew it was in my blood, like that vert ramp. That old just having fun in someone's backyard with a fucking ramp and they all have beer.
Yeah, I had a buddy actually back in like middle school who lived in my neighborhood, and he had a half pipe in his backyard.
Yeah.
So we would go over there and just skate the half pipe for hours and just bullshit with each other, and it's like stuff like that. Skateboarding just brings people together. Like you make such great memories.
Yeah, and that whole backyard skateboarding. I mean, you can't really. I'm not gonna say that he's the only one that, or not he, but all the people that are from that area are the only ones that did it. But
they made it notable.
Yeah. They made it so it's like you see videos online now, and you're like, that shit would not have happened without this skate.
Get a house in North Carolina, and the only thing that I want to do is vert ramps, skate parks in the door. One room's a skate park, one's a studio.
What you're talking about right there, like the BAM era. I'm gonna wrap this up so we can let him go. But
sorry.
No, you're good. But like the whole like Bam made skate parks in his house for his TV show, and whether he had a camera on him or not, he was doing it anyways. I mean, he was taking it to the max with the money that MTV gave him to do it. Yeah, but like that made people look at it and go, you know what? I want to fucking skate. I want to go out. I want to go to a park. I want to make my own park. And then they would get in trouble with their parents and everything. Like, and you kind of mentioned YouTube. I'm sure you can kind of agree, Alex. But like all these prank channels on YouTube, right? You see all these things. You see like, all these guys going out doing these prank channels. But
who did it before the Pennsylvania kids?
Yeah. Who did? Yeah. Who did it before that? Like no one. Like they're the ones that kind of brought it together, and that stems from skateboarding. It comes from the skaters around Westchester. Yeah.
Like the whole Jackass scene.
Yeah.
It's that exactly.
Yeah. But is there any last thoughts you kind of have, Alex?
Yeah. I think I got some. So. Back in high school, I actually had to write I wrote a paper, like a final paper senior year. Anyway, but first, I love what you guys are doing here. I think this is like,
thanks, man.
This is really great.
Thank you.
But yeah, so I wrote a paper on skateboarding. It was about the social stigma behind it and just how people are so quick to assume that like, oh, you skate, like, oh, you're like you're a hoodlum or whatever. But, there's just so much more behind skateboarding.
Oh, yeah. And I don't even say this much, but, I mean, I'm not trying to throw anyone under the bus, especially during these kind of crazy times we're living in, but the first day I was in Westchester, dressed the way I dress, right, with a skateboard, but I wasn't riding or anything. I was sitting on the courthouse steps of Westchester during the I think it was the restaurant festival, and I don't know if you really been in town for the restaurant festival when it was actually like going before all of the stuff we got going on right now, but it's the entire streets are lined, they're blocked off, everything. I was just sitting up there enjoying everything, just loving the fact that I got to be in Westchester, and this cop comes up to me and just walks right up to me. I'm sitting on the steps, I'm not doing anything. He goes, I don't want to see any of that BAM shit. We fixed the town up from what he did. I don't want to see it again. I'm like, I got a stigma behind me because I'm dressed the way I am, and I'm being stereotyped for something that I'm just doing because I love it and it gives me some kind of purpose. And it once again all stems back to the fact that was like my heaven, dude. That's where I wanted to be, is Westchester. Yeah. So I completely get what you're saying there.
Yeah, it sucks that there is that stereotype behind it, but the fact is that like skateboarding is it's a sport of just based on love. Just guys just doing what they love, and it's full of support, and it's all around great. So I really appreciate what you guys are doing here. Thanks, I think it's really important to educate people on it.
Yeah, we really appreciate you coming on and kind of interview and talk to you for a little while about this.
Yeah, I mean,
it was absolutely my pleasure. I always love talking about skateboarding, and I haven't been able to get out much, which really pisses me off. But I really appreciate it.
Yeah, man, for sure. I mean, I think this really helps people realize that it's like anyone can be influenced by this. It's not just like, oh, you see a pro skateboarder, or oh, it's Tony Hawk. Like, no, I mean, all of us regular people, and even down to the way we dress. Like, look at the fashions now. I mean, a lot of people are trying to look like they're a skateboarder by dressing a certain way. Who do you think started that? The 90s and 2000s skateboarders. Like, that's what...
Those goddamn 70s kids. Yeah. All of them were in 1979. Bam. Yeah. And I see all those. I went up on Wikipedia and was looking into different things, and I noticed a lot of those dudes were born like 77, 8, 9. Yeah.
But, yeah, man. So, thanks for coming on, man. And, if you want to be on the second episode, we can have you back. If you want to say anything more, if you think of anything afterwards, we'll put you on the second episode, and we're going to keep trying to educate people about just how much skateboarding has influenced all of us and what the history behind it is. So.
Oh, yeah, perfect. Yeah, just let me know.
Thanks, man. All right. We'll let you go. Thanks for coming on.
All right, thanks, guys. Yep. I'll see you.
See ya.
Yep. All right, so I think that was awesome. Just hearing that, he didn't know much about the Westchester skate scene, but then when we really were talking about it, he really was like, oh yeah, I do remember that did influence me, and that's kind of the reason why I kind of love the areas, all that stuff, So, I kind of want to talk back about the whole CKY thing. I mean, we'll play a little clip of that. That's exactly where I was going to go with. So if anyone knows CKY and they don't know it, that's what they know. They know this classic riff that just got blown up because of skateboarding. I mean, and because of Westchester skateboarding. I mean, that's where they come from. That's where they're like based out of. And whenever any of us, or even any of the people that don't even watch skateboarding but watched all that stuff, if you hear that, you know
exactly what it is.
You know something's gonna go down, and it's gonna be crazy. And like I said, we'll play that in a minute. But
you should never get me hyped up, bro.
Huh?
You should never get me hyped up.
But yeah, dude, I just think it's so incredibly awesome that like the entire world has been influenced by skateboarding, and there's a few places that really push that, and I think that Philly, Westchester area is that place. I think it's that big hub for this East Coast. I mean, yeah, you got New York and you got all that other stuff, but New York doesn't have, I mean, they got rich history, but it's kind of like separate. It's like the music is used in the skateboarding, and it's kind of coordinated a little bit, but I mean, with Westchester, it was really dependent on all of those aspects being so good together and really blowing up. I mean,
so much come from one little town because of the rich culture.
Yeah, and
that's exactly it.
I think that's why we got so many indie bands coming up now, and I guess I'll give a little shout out to Fens. I mean, Fens Coffee, right around the corner from Fairman's. I mean, they have shows all the time of just these up and coming artists that are influenced by the area around them, and CKY used to, if I'm not mistaken, CKY performed there a few times. I don't know how big they were at the time, but they performed there, and that kind of pushed Fairman's to they made this downstairs that they have now, and before all the issues we're having right now, they were doing concerts down there. They were doing photo galleries and art show galleries up in the top. I mean, it really was just the fact that this is a community that really could come together and produce something incredible, and it's awesome. And big shout out to Henry Jones. I mean, if either of y'all know Henry Jones is I think he's a Westchester native. Don't quote me on that. I know he lives in the area now, but he has made his art skyrocket in popularity. I mean, people down here in Maryland, I mean, I'll be at the park and someone will be wearing a Henry Jones shirt, and I'm like, I'm walking around Westchester, and I talked to him a few times. I mean, I wouldn't go as far to say I'm like a good friend of his or a friend of his even, but I mean, every time I see him, he like asks me how I'm doing. We talk a little bit, and you know, I like say something about how cool his last artwork was, piece of art was. But you know, he's made huge.
That's sick.
Shit. I was like your age.
Wow.
But yeah,
exactly.
He made some like you know, he makes shirts. All these professional companies give him collabs and you know, let him put their art on his art on their gear. And it's just that came from Westchester. I mean, he has that like they're always producing people. You know, it's insane. And to talk about a little bit some of the skaters that are coming up now that I can say.
Damn.
Oh wow.
And then I got fat.
But some of the people coming up now, like you know, there's this guy Victor that's in town who's incredible. I mean, he's really good. And Evan Smith is yes, he's a pro skateboarder, but Evan Smith from Westchester, he's a really good photographer. I mean, they're producing a lot of awesome skate photographers out there in Westchester. They're producing, you know, filmmakers like Trevor Strahan, which we're going to talk to later. He's huge with that now, and it's because of seeing this go on since he's been growing up in Westchester. I mean, I'm only naming a few. I'm not even cracking the pros that are coming out now. I'm just kind of naming some of the locals, but it's ridiculous, dude. It's awesome. And I think it's really important for us to know that that's kind of where that comes from.
Mm-hmm. Everything comes back. Spandex came back. The 70s clothes came back. This shit is coming back. And the muck videos and skate park, you already know what's up.
Yeah.
We're gonna make it happen.
Big shout out to the sponsors.
Hell yeah. I didn't know you guys. I didn't know it was a lot like that going on. You know, and I know I've been BSing a lot, but and then I get wrapped up in some like shit like this.
Yeah.
But I'm getting it together to the point where I don't have to worry about it, and I have money flowing like crazy. And I'm just gonna be up there like all day, every day. Where you at? Oh, we're in Westchester. We got an Airbnb, 15 rooms. Let's rock out.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And we're just having fun.
Yo, and just look, this is another influence that we're seeing now. I mean, they're not huge yet, but they're definitely blowing up. So, along with CKY blowing up because of his brother's skate fame and all that, you know, Bam Margera brought a Finnish band named H.I.M over to the States.
Yeah.
He brought them. He noticed them when he was out on a skate like a skate competition that he was in. He was out in Finland, and I think around '99. And
oh shit! I didn't know go that far back.
Yeah, no. Around 1999 is when Bam was out there for some skate competition. He turned on the TV in his hotel room, and it was pretty much like an MTV countdown. I mean, it was, and the #1 video was him. It was Right Here in My Arms by him. Shut up. But no. And so then he told his buddy about it, and his buddy's Jimmy Pop from the Bloodhound Gang. And Jimmy Pop signed him to the record label, and they came over to the States, and they just blew up in the early 2000s.
That's the shit that I did not know.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and so
he was what, 22?
Yeah,
he was 20.
Something like that.
He was around our age, yeah. But yeah, so you know, everyone started listening to.
Yeah, that's SmackDown. TikTok, bro. TikTok is happening.
But everyone like, especially like, you know, all of us love the band, and you know, we listen to them all the time. We use them in our videos and stuff. Yeah, and now we actually see. I didn't think it was ever gonna happen. So him retired in 2017. They did their farewell tour, and now we're seeing a band come up named 616, who sounds incredibly similar. Definitely were heavily influenced by it, and Matt Lidwin, big shout out to them. I've kind of been in contact with them, and they're just awesome people. They're hanging out with Bam and the crew now, going up to Westchester, and they were heavily influenced by it. I mean,
where are you from?
They're from I think they're from Milwaukee.
Gotcha.
Yeah, they're from Milwaukee, but
So
they're
take a trip to Minnesota.
they're getting
Wisconsin.
Wisconsin,
Sorry,
yeah.
jeez.
Oh yeah,
Same
Brett
area,
Favre.
same area.
Yeah, but
yeah.
no, but big shout out to them too, because they're definitely influenced by it, and we can just see these influences whether you're a skateboarder or not come into the real world. And I mean, I know a bunch of people, like some of the people from our friend group. We got one of the Muck team members. His name is his rapper name is Hive Haven. We call
I checked with that guy.
we call him McSpanky.
Yep.
Amir Wesley. Yeah, he's a really good rapper, and he's been getting opportunities now too. And I think he wouldn't have gotten into music like that if it weren't for the Westchester skate scene. I mean, he's a skater at heart. We still skate with him. He's gonna have a full part in the video. I mean, he's crazy at what he does, skateboarding and music, and it just shows that we have a lot of things to thank Westchester for kind of giving us. I don't think really people really.
You're about to reblast that, and it's going to be the connection between here and there. You know, a lot of people go from here to New York or here to Atlanta for music. It's going to be fucking Century, Maryland, and Westchester. Okay, because when this conversation's over, I'm going to get on the phone tomorrow morning with a bunch of these dudes. I'm talking about we're getting this. We're doing this podcast every week, if not a few times a week. We're doing a gaming podcast. If we got a separate music one, like the whole nine, we're putting people on. We're going to send this shit to sponsors. Like, we're going to take this shit to the new level.
Absolutely.
And just let me take a quick second to just thank all the sponsors we have. So we got Skate Paw, which is Finland's company, Rich Finland's company. We got Muck Videos Production. So thank all the people part of Muck that are helping this kind of come true. And then we can thank our sponsorship, Donut Shop Co. They're a clothing brand down here in Maryland, and they're really just great at helping us out with everything we need. And so I think this is just awesome that all of us are just trying to influence everyone and tell people how it really is about skateboarding.
Shot and recorded at Twinsy Studio. My buddy Dion's not here, but he gave me the green light. We're all like partners.
Thank you, Twinsy Studio, man.
Oh yeah,
I mean, we love the opportunity to be able to actually have a place to talk about this and make this a little bit more professional.
Yeah.
I mean, any closing thoughts on any of the skateboarding, anything we didn't touch that we probably should? I mean, I know we're gonna get ready here to talk to Trevor, and then we'll close it out. But yeah, I think this is awesome. This is a good way, I think, to inform people, because I mean, I'm missing so much right now, and whatever I miss in this episode, we're gonna get to in the next one. But it starts with a few people from a small town in Pennsylvania to becoming this worldwide phenomenon. Like, it's ridiculous. Like, it's insane, dude. And
absolutely.
I mean, shout out once again to Muck Videos. I mean, I'm the founding member, but I would not be able to do it with everyone that we have involved. Even people like Skate Paw and Donut Shop. We can't do it without them. And once again, thank you to the Margeras. He was really helpful with everything he kind of was trying to tell me, and all the conversations we've had. Which, I mean, in a relative sense, they were kind of a few conversations. It wasn't like I was always talking to him about it, but I know that he really appreciates when he sees something that's original, and whether ours gets labeled a copycat or whatever, I mean, we are trying to make it as original as possible, because that's just what we were influenced by. And once again, I missed they're not really a sponsorship on this video, but I'm gonna give them a shout out, Fairman Skate Shop. I mean, they have been a huge supporter of the Muck Videos crew, and they've agreed to, once we finally get it all done, that they'll help us with a premiere, or they'll help us with any way they can. So it's awesome. But yeah, man. I mean, Rich, you got anything to say about the skaters and anything like that we missed?
We pretty much covered it all. Just everybody kicks fucking ass.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Like where I grew up, I was the only person doing this, but I didn't give a rat's ass. Well, I had a buddy Eric who was into it, but it was just awesome. It was just, I felt like one kid in one small town until Shoutout came out with a skate park, and then it was a bunch of skaters out of nowhere coming out of woodworks. But it's freaking awesome. Yeah,
no, but I'll save some of the Philly talk for the next episode. But all right, we're gonna introduce Trevor Strahan. He's a filmmaker in Westchester. I mean, I'll go into it while we're interviewing him, because I interviewed him yesterday. But he's a filmmaker. He's a team member of Muck. He designs all of our clothing that we have here. He's just an incredible historian when it comes to the area he lives in and its skateboarding history. I mean, he's a great skateboarder too. I fully believe that he's gonna, if he does anything with it, he's gonna make it somehow. So I mean, let's get into that interview with him, and then we'll come back and wrap it up.
Live. Okay.
All right. Thanks, Trevor, for coming on to Grinding Through History.
Got it.
For those who are not familiar with what he has done, from what I've said before, Trevor is a local filmmaker, if you would like to call him that. He films a lot of skate videos up in Westchester, and he's been a good buddy of mine for a while. He really knows what he's talking about when it comes to the rich history that we have in Westchester when it comes to skateboarding, and he has a lot of things to say here. So we'll get right into it. So first off, once again, thank you for coming.
Yeah, thanks for having me.
So how old are you?
So I'm 19 years old. I'll be 20 in May. So yeah.
Cool. How long have you been in the Westchester area?
Pretty much my whole life. I was born here and pretty much stayed here. I've moved around a little bit the past like year or so, but I kind of always wind up back in Westchester.
Yeah, that's cool, man. So when did you start skating then?
Probably around. Well, it's funny. I've always had skateboards around me and stuff like that, but I didn't really even know you could do tricks. So I used to just like ride around like from as young as I can remember, really. And pretty much around the time I'd say like once I got into middle school is when like I started trying to do like tricks and things like that, and skating with other people and just learning from them.
Yeah. I mean that's actually kind of cool. That's kind of the way I got into it. And I actually didn't know that about you, that you've kind of had the same raise up when it comes to.
Yeah.
I always had skateboarders around me, and I always had different guys on my street with me broken boards, and I'd play with the broken boards, and then I just ended up he gave me one that wasn't broken a few times and that he just didn't want anymore, and that's when he built me a board, and I kind of started with that. So yeah, that's definitely kind of how I feel like a lot of us get into it. It's just around, it's just what we see.
Yeah.
We don't really know much about it, and then we end up growing. So as most of us know, us skaters, especially the ones that are from the Westchester area or have been looking up to this whole mess of skaters and stuff that came out of there, we all know that there's a lot of strong influences and a bunch of really great skaters that have come out of that area. So who are some of your biggest influences? Who really pushed you to kind of get better and like try?
Yeah. Well, I mean, I feel like you kind of have to mention Bam, just because even before skateboarding, like I knew who he was, and I knew he was the skateboarding guy or whatever. But I mean, besides like all the success and from like MTV and everything, like his skateboarding was so cool to me. Like it always seemed like he was just kind of pushing the limits at the time. And also Mike Maldonado is another one. He was friends with Bam and everything. Like he was always with Bam.
East Coast powerhouse, baby.
Yeah, East Coast powerhouse. But he was another sick one to me, just because he had like this like kind of cool like aggressive style. Like it he meant what he was doing. You know what I mean? If that makes any sense.
Oh no, that definitely makes sense to all of us, and I mean to the viewers and listeners who don't really know what that means. He's mainly just talking about like he doesn't back down from anything. He can really make anything work somehow. He has a bunch of clips that we might even get to be able to show a few at some point in the podcast. But he was, like he said, one of the most aggressive kind of guys out there at the time, and going for things that no one ever even seen. So
yeah, exactly.
And he's still doing the same thing now. I mean, you can probably attest. You're always at the.
Yeah, I see him around still. He still comes out and skates every now and then. His like son's been kind of skating a little bit more, but he's still around, still skating, still has like the same style and everything. It's crazy.
Yeah, man. So, I mean, we're talking about all the kind of skaters and their different styles that they had kind of coming out from the Westchester area, but what do you really think makes this whole scene so unique, and especially kind of focusing on the guys who started putting the Westchester on the map, like 90s, early 2000s skateboarders? What do you really think is the most unique part about it?
I mean, Westchester's like a pretty unique place itself, but I think the way they kind of presented themselves, it was more of we're skateboarders, but like we do other things as well, like we like to have fun or whatever. And I feel like through Bam's videos and everything, you can kind of see that, like the CKY movies and whatnot. I think it was just a lot more than just skateboarding that made Westchester kind of stand out. It was just all the other things they were doing and everything to go along with skateboarding.
Yeah.
But yeah.
Yeah, man. And I mean that also can kind of go along with another topic we're going to be touching on in this podcast is that, you know, is the CKY. If anyone knows who that is, it's a band from Westchester that the drummer of the band and one of the founders is Bam Margera's brother, and they blew up simultaneously with Bam's skateboarding because Bam was using that music in his videos, and that's just another way that like the skateboarding scene in Westchester really like kind of pushed other people to kind of grow and really made it a little different. I mean, you see things like the New York skate scene, yeah, they got some rappers and stuff. They might have some punk bands that come out too.
Yeah.
I mean, it's not really the same, you know. It's like they kind of just use random people's tracks. Like this one was like they were all connected, and you couldn't mention one of them without talking about the other. So
and they just went so well together, you know, the music and the skateboarding.
Yeah. So how is living in this area, like with such a rich history, like I keep saying, I keep repeating it, but I mean, it's true. How has living in this area kind of impacted you, both in skateboarding and just in your everyday life? Like, what has it done for you?
Yeah, well, you know, there's definitely just so many people to look up to, and you know, because of them, like, you know, not like kind of like what you just said, not just in skateboarding, but in life in general, like these people did what they wanted to do, like, you know, it's just, I don't know, it definitely like motivates you to push, to keep pushing, and you know, maybe end up like one of those guys one day, you know what I mean?
Yeah, for sure. And so I mean, I failed to mention this when I introduced you just now, but so you are a part of a up and coming kind of group, even though it hasn't really been going that much due to some, you know, different obstacles, but you are a part of a new kind of group coming in and called Muck Videos. So like, how do you think that has kind of like been a way, like, do you think that's been kind of a way that you can kind of see yourself being influenced by this group and or by these skaters? Like, how, you know, how is that really like connected, you know?
Yeah, I mean, pretty much just kind of bringing it back like full circle in a way to kind of what they were doing, and to kind of bring it back now with a, sort of a, you know, a different twist.
Yeah.
I think it's cool, but yeah, like it's definitely influential, everything they did, and you know, kind of what we're doing now.
Yeah. No, and I mean, before we got on this call, you and I were talking about how you now work a few shifts at probably, in my mind, one of the most legendary skate shops ever, and it's probably the reason, one of the biggest reasons, other than obviously the whole skate scene in general, that I actually wanted to move up to Westchester in the first place, is because they had probably I mean, I think it's still the oldest standing skate shop on the East Coast. Shop. How do you think that, you know, ties in all this? Like they like I said.
Yeah, I mean, that's just like another really historical and influential kind of place. You know, they have so much in there, so many pieces of history, so many like signed boards or just rare collectible boards and everything. Yeah. And you know, it's not like they've forgotten about everything in the past. You know, they still love all that. You know, Bam's still the coolest and everything. So
yeah, no, because I personally have always just found it so amazing that some little town like Westchester, I mean, little, can have all this packed into one. I mean, and not even just that. I mean, Fairman's before everything happened, you know, they were doing concerts in the basement. They were doing art.
Yeah, the skate lessons and everything.
Yeah, so it's just another way that this really ties in and really shows that the Westchester skate scene is not like any other. I mean, it's it heavily depends on, like, you know, everything going for it, you know. But so as I'm saying how much it's impacted us, like, do you think that other places, states, countries, anything around the world have been impacted specifically by this skate scene and the history behind it?
Yeah, I definitely think so. I think, any place that has a skate scene can influence, another area, but Westchester, has just had so many people come out of it. And they're like, even today, there's still people who are from Westchester who eventually turn pro or make a career out of skateboarding in some way. Yeah, that's kind of what I have to say for that.
So we mentioned Bam Margera. Obviously, you can't really talk about this without talking about him. We mentioned Maldonado. Who else comes to mind as a skate? Just as skateboarders, I know who comes to my mind, but to you, who comes to your mind when you're thinking about them? Other than Bam and Maldonado, who else comes to mind when you're thinking about Westchester skateboarding?
Well, I kind of think about people who have also like come through Westchester, who are like, from other areas too, but have spent, a lot of time skating in Westchester.
Mm-hmm.
Like Kerry Getz is another one.
Yeah.
And he's still pro for the company Terror of Planet X, and they sell stuff at Fairman. So I mean that's like another thing, like another full circle kind of deal where like, wow, he's still out here selling boards and people are buying them at Fairman's and everything.
Yeah, man.
But yeah, he's another one that really stood out to me. I thought he was another one who had like a pretty kind of unique style and everything. New tricks that people weren't really doing back then.
Yeah, and I would like to kind of go take it back a little bit before the whole '90s skate scene as well. I mean, if you look back at like if you're walking into Westchester or into a Fairman's and you're looking at all the pictures on the walls, and I really don't think people realize how many pros and just superstars came through
Yeah.
come into Fairman's. I mean,
Mm-hmm.
there's pictures all over the walls of Tony Hawk signing boards and in Fairman's, and I mean that's a name that rings a bell with anyone, skateboarder or not.
Definitely, yeah.
Bell, and
especially on like the East Coast and everything.
Oh yeah, and I mean, some skaters like to kind of put that behind them and like let's not talk about Tony Hawk.
Yeah.
You can't really miss that. I mean, and there's I can't even name how many signatures I've seen up on that wall, but I mean just to name a few. I mean Eric Ellington, the founder of Death Wish and pro skateboarder to this day. Andrew Reynolds, the founder of Baker, he came through a lot too, and just Ed Templeton. I mean, Ed Templeton is someone who had a very strong connection with Fairman's because of BAM and because of all the other stuff going on in the '90s. Like Ed Templeton's a photographer and artist, and at one point he was a pro skateboarder, but now he runs the skate company Toy Machine. So there's all these huge powerhouses that come through, and just to kind of have their name up on the wall and say that they got to visit this place. I mean,
yeah, it's important.
Yeah, I think, and the whole purpose behind why I'm doing this podcast is kind of to inform some of the younger generations. And I mean, we're not older generation, but we just have a much more open mind when it comes to the older stuff, and I really I see all these skateboarders around the Westchester University campus where I go, and I just I can tell like maybe that guy doesn't really know, and maybe they do. I mean, I'm gonna have a few people on the show eventually to try to kind of talk about it. I know I got someone else lined up to talk to me about this, but I just want to know how much these skateboarders on campus are aware of what has gone down in this town, what has been so like amazing. It's just mind blowing,
Yeah.
But last thing we can talk about is let's just kind of focus a little bit on the BAM era, just so kind of people can kind of understand, because as we both know, BAM did not get the reputation for his skateboarding for the longest time. I mean, if most people, if you try to say his name, they might not know that he's a skateboarder. So what's kind of something that you'd like, is there anything you'd like to kind of say on that, or like about Bam Margera as a skateboarder, as someone who influenced this?
Yeah, I mean, I don't know. I feel like he was in a different mindset than everyone else, and I don't know. I think like he was such a good skateboarder and he was willing to do all these things, but I think like to go along with like the movies and the TV shows and everything, I think he knew he was capable of being able to do that as well.
Mm-hmm.
But Yeah, I mean, I think a lot of people will just like a lot of people do recognize him as the TV guy and not really the skateboarder. But I mean, he was so good at both, really.
I mean, yeah. I mean, correct me if I'm wrong, but because I'm a little biased, as everyone kind of can understand. But I genuinely think we wouldn't have the skateboarding that we have today. I mean, even though it's vastly different than it was back then, it would not
Yeah.
have ushered into a new era. Because I mean, the guy skated, and I'll go over what these terms mean, but the guy skated transition like a complete king, and he skated street. He just
Yeah, he was very like well-rounded. You know
yeah,
what I mean? He was willing to kind of try anything.
yeah, and he was. I think my facts might be a little bit off on this, but he was, I think, like the third person to ever do the loop on the skateboard, and for
Yeah, he may have been actually.
I think he was like the third person, and Tony Hawk might have been the first. I don't really know, but uh, and for those of you that don't know, the loop is just as it sounds. It's just a ramp made into a loop that it like looking like a water slide or something. Like, but people
Yeah.
on skateboards, and Dan was the third person to ever do it, and so he really could do pretty much anything on a skateboard, and it would be, groundbreaking.
Yeah.
All right, man.
I think
Well, I think that was good. I think we got some knowledge, and I think some of the viewers on this are really gonna learn something from some of the things you kind of have said and have been seeing in your time in Westchester. And I really
Yeah.
appreciate it, man.
Yeah, thank you for having me on. It was fun talking about all this.
Yeah, man. And hopefully sometime in the future we'll get back to more of this, because
Yeah, for sure.
I really like kind of informing people about this. It's something I'm passionate about. I know you are. So,
Yeah, definitely.
all right, cool.
I mean, I think Trevor had a bunch of cool things to say. I think he shed light on someone that we have barely talked about in this. I mean, we've been focusing on Bam, but it's so much more than Bam. I mean, there's so many other people, and Mike Maldonado, who is labeled the East Coast powerhouse, as I said, he was doing things that no one else was really doing, and he's from that Westchester area. He's incredible skateboarder, and Brandon Novak, who we didn't talk about in that interview, but you mentioned him earlier in this podcast. Brandon Novak came from Baltimore, but going up to Westchester and Philly, he really, he's had his struggles, and I commend him for, I praise him. I praise him for
interview last night while driving.
Yeah.
I listened to it sitting at McDonald's for 20 minutes.
And I praise him for battling through all his issues and stuff like that. But I mean, he definitely put his name out there with that scene. I mean, back in the '90s, that was like one of the places to be when it comes to skateboarding. So I think that's just awesome that people from down here that aren't just me go up there. And I had a cousin, I'm not gonna put his whole name out there, but Jonathan, my cousin Jonathan, he's the one who he's the one who created this logo for us.
Yep.
He is an incredible artist and was also heavily influenced by Westchester. He lived in I don't know if you know this, I know he knows it, but he moved up there and did a video crew. He had a little video crew. He was one of the main guys, and the video was named DNR, Do Not Resuscitate. I mean, no one really probably knows it, but they did. I mean, from what I've seen, they were pretty involved in the community, and most people kind of know who they are if they were even slightly involved with skateboarding at the time when they were living in the Philly area, Westchester area. And it's kind of like a full circle thing. I'm like, I saw that, and then I saw my cousin go up there and do something, and I was like, this is awesome. Like, this is something that I really think would help skateboarding progress for me, for everyone else. So I think it's awesome. But yeah, man. So I think we got a lot more to talk about in the next episode.
Oh yeah.
So let's leave it for that, and I think we did a really good job. Thank you once again, Rich, for letting us use the studio and for just coming on, man. I mean, you definitely added a lot to this conversation. Kind of showed us how Westchester really influenced you. I mean, that's the whole purpose for this, is to educate people on that, the fact that we don't even know that this was like, we obviously know, but a lot of people don't even know that that's why you have the things you have, is because Westchester, Philly, and just skateboarding in general, that's
kind of where some of this stuff came from. So.
Yep.
Yeah, absolutely.
Still look up to those cities and guys like it's fucking awesome. Like I'm 12 years old again.
Yeah, man, and thank you, Timmy, for coming on too.
Of course, buddy.
Love the fact that we got a team member of a skate crew on here. I mean,
Yeah.
we're not too big yet, but we got team member here or team managers here. So
Yeah, it's all right. They're gonna be selling this podcast for $100. Don't worry. We're gonna like classic, unseen, whatever. It's gonna be like on YouTube, and then it's gonna like disappear one day, and then like you guys gonna blow the fuck up. They're trying to get like that fucking day one edition and shit.
yeah. Oh,
Like
and I forgot. I got to shout out one of the guys. It's close to Bam himself. He's a skateboarder that's, I think he's originally from Boston. Sorry, Dickie, if I got that wrong, but I think you're originally from Boston. But he lives in the area now, and he kind of got noticed by Bam for skating FDR Park in Philly, and he was an amazing guy. I mean, when we were still very new in our whole muck stuff, but me and him were talking since the first time I met him when I went out to dinner with Bam and a few other people. He was talking to me and he loved the idea. So thank you for supporting us, Dickie, and hope we did everyone justice. I know there's more we gotta talk about, but
yeah, we'll hit a lot more
Yeah.
in the next episode, and so on and so on.
Because we only grazed the surface here, so I think we got a lot more to kind of inform people about the skate scene in Westchester, both music wise, skateboarding wise, everything else.
Oh yeah, a lot as far as music.
Yeah, and if anyone is watching this that's either from the school or just from the area wants to kind of chip in on the next one, just hit us up in the comments. If you like it, if you like the video, like the podcast, like and subscribe. We'll be doing a lot more of these as well.
You guys can also comment questions, add questions, anything you have you want to ask.
Yeah.
We can go through and pick some of them and answer them on here.
Yeah.
And
for sure.
give some more light about things that you guys are interested and curious about.
Yeah. This is kind of just our introduction into the whole topic of Westchester skateboarding. I mean, and then after this next episode, we're going to be kind of going into more of the other hubs of skateboarding. Yeah, so I think we did a pretty good job at touching as much as we could. Thank you, all the homies back in Westchester. You know who you are. Noah Schrack, Evan Smith, Trevor Strahan, Riley Kane, Amir Wesley, all y'all, thank you. And once again, follow us on, subscribe to us on YouTube. Follow Muck Videos on Instagram, muck.videos, and go check us out.
Ready,